LETTER XLVI of Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 8. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Nicole Lee. Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 8, by Samuel Richardson. Letter XLVI. Mr. Lovelace to John Belford, Esq. Thursday, August 31st. I cannot but own that I am cut to the heart by this Miss Harlowe's interpretation of her letter. She ought never to be forgiven. She, a meek person, and a penitent, and innocent, and pious, and I know not what, who can deceive with a foot in the grave. 'Tis evident that she sat down to write this letter with the design to mislead and deceive. And if she be capable of that, at such a crisis, she has as much need of Heaven's forgiveness as I have of hers. And with all her cant of charity, if she be not more sure of it than I am of her real pardon, and if she take the thing in the light she ought to take it in, she will have a few darker moments yet to come than she seems to expect. Lord M. himself, who is not one of those, to speak in his own phrase, who can penetrate a millstone, sees the deceit, and thinks it unworthy of her, though my cousins Montague vindicate her. And no wonder this cursed partial sex, I hate 'em all, by my soul, I hate 'em all, will never allow any thing against an individual of it, where ours is concerned. And why? Because if they censure deceit in another, they must condemn their own hearts. She is to send me a letter after she is in heaven, is she? The devil take such allegories, and the devil take thee for calling this absurdity an innocent artifice. I insist upon it, that if a woman of her character, at such a critical time, is to be justified in such a deception, a man in full health and vigour of body and mind, as I am, may be excused for all his stratagems and attempts against her. And thank my stars, I can now sit me down with a quiet conscience on that score. By my soul, I can, Jack. Nor has any body who can acquit her a right to blame me. But with some, indeed, every thing she does must be good, every thing I do must be bad. And why? Because she has always taken care to coax the stupid misjudging world like a woman, while I have constantly defied and despised its censures like a man. But, notwithstanding all, you may let her know from me, that I will not molest her, since my visits would be so shocking to her, and I hope she will take this into her consideration, as a piece of generosity which she could hardly expect after the deception she has put upon me. And let her further know, that if there be any thing in my power that will contribute either to her ease or honour, I will obey her at the very first intimation, however disgraceful or detrimental to myself. All this to make her unapprehensive, and that she may have nothing to pull her back. If her cursed relations could be brought as cheerfully to perform their parts, I'd answer life for life for her recovery. But who, that has so many ludicrous images raised in his mind by the awkward penitents, can forbear laughing at thee? Spare, I beseech thee, dear Belford, for the future, all thine own aspirations, if thou wouldst not dishonour those of an angel indeed. When I came to that passage, where thou sayest that thou considerest her as one sent from heaven to draw thee after her, for the heart of me, I could not for an hour put thee out of my head in the attitude of Dame Elizabeth Carteret on her monument in Westminster Abbey. If thou never observest it, go thither on purpose, and there wilt thou see this dame in effigy, with uplifted head and hand, the latter taken hold of by a Cupid every inch of stone, one clumsy foot lifted up also, aiming, as the sculptor designed it, to ascend, but so executed as would rather make one imagine that the figure, without shoe or stocking as it is, though the rest of the body is robed, was looking up to its corn cutter, the other riveted to its native earth, bemired, like thee, immersed thou callest it, beyond the possibility of unsticking itself. Both figures, thou wilt find, seem to be in a contention, the bigger whether it should pull down the lesser about its ears, the lesser, a chubby fat little varlet, of a fourth part of the other's bigness, with wings not much larger than those of a butterfly, whether it should raise the larger to a heaven it points to, hardly big enough to contain the great toes of either. Thou wilt say, perhaps, that the dame's figure and stone may do credit in the comparison to thine, both in grain and shape, wooden as thou art all over; but that the lady, who in every thing but in the trick she has played me so lately is truly an angel, is but sorrily represented by the fat-flanked Cupid. This I allow thee. But yet there is enough in thy aspirations to strike my mind with the resemblance of thee and the lady to the figures on the wretched monument. For thou oughtest to remember, that, prepared as she may be to mount to her native skies, it is impossible for her to draw after her a heavy fellow who has so much to repent of as thou hast. But now, to be serious once more, let me tell you, Belford, that, if the lady be really so ill as you write she is, it will become you (no Roman style here) in a case so very affecting, to be a little less pointed and sarcastic in your reflections. For, upon my soul, the matter begins to grate me most confoundedly. I am now so impatient to hear often of her, that I take the hint accidentally given me by our two fellows meeting at Slough, and resolve to go to our friend Dolman's at Uxbridge, whose wife and sister, as well as he, have so frequently pressed me to give them my company for a week or two. There shall I be within 2 hours' ride, if any thing should happen to induce her to see me: for it will well become her piety and avowed charity, should the worst happen, (the Lord of heaven and earth, however, avert that worst!) to give me that pardon from her lips, which she has not denied to me by pen and ink. And as she wishes my reformation, she knows not what good effects such an interview may have upon me. I shall accordingly be at Doleman's to morrow morning by 11 at farthest. My fellow will find me there at his return from you, with a letter I hope. I shall have Joel with me likewise, that I may send thee oftener, as matters fall out. Were I to be still nearer, or in town, it would be impossible to withhold myself from seeing her. But, if the worst happen, as by your continual knelling I know not what to think of it, yet once more, Heaven avert that worst! How natural it is to pray, when once cannot help oneself! Then say not, in so many dreadful words, what the event is, only that you advise me to take a trip to Paris, and that will stab me to the heart. I so well approve of your generosity to poor Belton's sister, that I have made Mowbray give up his legacy, as I do mine, towards her India bonds. When I come to town, Tourville shall do the like; and we will buy each a ring to wear in memory of the honest fellow, with our own money, that we may perform his will as well as our own. My fellow rides the rest of the night. I charge you, Jack, if you would save his life, that you send him not back empty handed. LETTER XLVII